Thank you, Your Honour. Your Honours and Commissioner will recall that Mr Collins gave evidence last week and there was an additional statement, an unsigned statement that he wished to refer to, and he is available to do that today. So I call Mr Collins.
Collins, will you take an oath on the Bible or an affirmation?
Affirmation, please.
Would you repeat after me? I do solemnly, sincerely and truly
I do solemnly, sincerely and truly
declare and affirm
that
the evidence I shall give in this Royal Commission
the evidence I shall give in this Royal Commission
shall be the truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
Thank you. Take a seat. Yes, Ms Finette.
Mr Collins, you've provided the Royal Commission with a note, and I invite you to read that.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Allowed.
Okay. In addition to my evidence already put before the Commission, I wish to expand upon the meeting between Bishop Bird, myself and Peter Blenkiron in May of 2013 I referred to in my statement. I also wish to include details of a subsequent meeting with Father Adrian McInerney from the St Alepius Parish. In the course of the Victorian Parliamentary Inquiry, there were a number of assertions by church officials that funding for victims would be forthcoming. In light of these positive statements, Peter Blenkiron and I approached Bishop Bird via his office in early 2013. Subsequently, a meeting was organised which took place on the 13th of February 2013. At this meeting, attended by myself, Peter Blenkiron and Bishop Bird, we introduced ourselves and explained that Peter and I represented an informal group of approximately 60 survivors. We explained that there had been little done to meet the basic and immediate needs of survivors and that we had a number of ideas for practical forms of support that the church might offer at a local level. The Bishop was agreeable to a further meeting to allow us to develop our ideas. The meeting concluded amicably. After the meeting, I received an email from the Bishop saying, "Thank you for the opportunity to meet with you today. I hope our meeting will bear fruit in the time ahead." On the 30th of April, I wrote to the Bishop, "Paul, after seeing your appearance at the Parliamentary Inquiry and your statement with its mention of support for victims, Peter and I would like to meet with you and try to take this to a practical next step. Would you be free any time next Monday or Tuesday at whatever location you desire?" A meeting was organised for the 20th of May 2013. At this meeting, Peter and I initiated the conversation with the Bishop with a general discussion comparing the needs of military veterans with PTSD and abuse survivors. PTSD veterans received a pension that was in effect $252.60 per week, more than the DSP, which most abuse survivors were subsisting on. The veterans also had access to unlimited free psychological and medical services. We saw the comparison as useful in that the gross effect of PTSD was the same for individuals, regardless of cause. We put this comparison to the Bishop in terms of it being the basis for an interim plan pending a broader permanent scheme run by the government and funded by the Church. We put to the Bishop that there were a significant number of survivors that were in dire financial trouble and suffering, in the worst cases from malnutrition, homelessness, and at serious and immediate risk of suicide. We said that there were, we thought, about 40 people we knew to be at risk, but only some of them needed immediate financial support. In addition, we suggested that any help could be distributed through a third party, such as CASA or Moving Towards Justice. At this point, he became red in the face and his initial politeness disappeared. He said, "If we have to pay this sort of money to you people, then the diocese will declare bankruptcy." I replied, "Just like what happened in Boston?" He said, "Yes." The Bishop then said, we would just start up another diocese. You don't understand, the diocese has such a limited supply of funds. I became defensive and said rubbish. At this point, Peter made reference to the $30 million profit that was recently announced by CCI, which is Catholic Church Insurances. Peter went on to say that he knew of the rental properties owned by the diocese and that these properties produced a lot of income. The bishop then yelled at us that the properties are not owned by the diocese, not even the cathedral is owned by us. The conversation became increasingly heated, and Peter quoted Cardinal Pell's statement to the inquiry that the church would pay what it was required to pay by the government and that funds were not a problem. The bishop replied that Pell is responsible for the Diocese of Sydney, not us here in Ballarat. Peter said firmly, "Look, we know you have control of the money from the properties." The bishop replied, "You don't know, we don't." I then said that the church had been portrayed in a negative light and this would only get worse with the up-and-coming Royal Commission, and that helping victims would be a way of showing leadership and would be a sign that you were turning things around. To our absolute astonishment, the bishop then said, "Andrew, you need to understand that the church has endured for thousands of years, and that in 30 to 40 years you people will all be dead and the church will endure for thousands of years more." The meeting concluded at that point and we left. I immediately phoned my friend and a fellow abuse survivor, Stephen Woods, to tell him what had happened, and subsequently told many people what Bishop Bird said to Peter and myself. In all subsequent meetings involving Peter or I with the diocese, Bishop Bird did not meet with us, instead sending his Vicar General in his place. A few weeks after this meeting, I was driving along Victoria Street, Ballarat East, when I passed St Alipius Church. I decided to stop and see if the parish priest, Father Adrian McInerney, was in. I was greeted by Sister Joan Dalgleish. Joan is the sister of my mother's sister's husband. Adrian was not in. Joan rang him and he asked if I could wait and he would return to the parish. Adrian returned and we went into a room at the front of the presbytery. I had known Adrian for many years as he had baptised all three of my children. I told Adrian that I had heard that when he was at the parish around 1970 that he had been told by a then student of St Alipius of abuses there and that he had threatened the child. He told him not to tell anyone. I asked him if this was true. Adrian became visibly upset. He said he was aware of the allegation and the person involved, but that it had not been him. He said that around that time there had been another priest at the parish with blonde hair and it may have been this priest. He said he could not recall this priest's name. Adrian then said that he needed to confess to a couple of other matters that had always troubled him. Adrian asked me if I had seen the picture of George Pell accompanying Risdale to the court. I said that I had. Adrian told me that it could have been him in that picture, as he had previously accompanied Risdale to court. He said that he was asked by Risdale to provide a reference in a minor matter, but that when they arrived at the court, he realised that the matter was about abusing children and that he was unwilling to help Risdale. Adrian told me that Risdale would sometimes call over to St Patrick's Cathedral when Adrian was there, and he would often ask to rest in a room and sometimes share a meal with him. He said that sometimes Risdale might have children with him, but that he never suspected anything odd. I note that on May the 19th, it was mentioned here by the Royal Commission Special Counsel that Adrian was on the Consultors Committee that helped to decide on the movement of Risdale. Adrian then said that he had gone through the seminary with another priest, Father X, who had been convicted of abusing children in Ballarat. Adrian said that they had both trained in Rome at the same time, and he recalled that Father X was always visiting a boys' home there. At the time, he thought that Father X just liked children, but thinking back, Adrian now thought that he should have realised that there could have been more. I took this to mean that Adrian suspected that Father X may have abused boys in Rome. I asked Adrian if he had reported any of this to police, and he replied that he had not. I then suggested that he should. Adrian said that he agreed and he would consider doing so. Adrian then said that he had been given some money by a parishioner to be used for a worthwhile purpose, and asked me how this could be used to help local victims of abuse. I said that I would get someone from Moving Towards Justice to contact him. This was done later and $1,000 was donated. After the meeting, I immediately rang Peter Blenkiron and Stephen Woods to relay what had been said.
Ms Furness?
Your Honour.
Any
I have no questions.
Does anyone else have any questions?
A question. In paragraph 7, you refer to a date of a meeting, May the 2015. Is that the correct date?
No, the date should have been May 2013.
Please.
Anyone else any questions?
No, Your Honour, I don't have any questions. As Your Honour may know, Father McInerney has provided a statement today responding to some of the things that Mr Collins has just said, and as I said last week in our letter, foreshadowed, Bishop Bird will also be doing that before he gives evidence.
Sorry, Bishop Bird will provide a statement before he gives evidence.
Yes, he has been asked to give a statement, which he has done in relation to various community impact topics, but since it has now emerged that he has been mentioned in the evidence of some of the survivor witnesses, such as Mr Collins, he will, now that he knows what it is, put on a short statement responding to those things.
Well, Mr Gray, I'm sure you remain conscious of what I said last week.
Certainly, Your Honour.
Very well. It seems there's no further questions for you. You are excused again. Thank you.